I still remember the day May walked into my classroom. She was quiet, eyes fixed on the floor, fingers nervously twisting the sleeves of her jacket. I had seen that look many times before, a mix of hope, fear, and something deeper. Maybe exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from staying up late, but from trying, failing, and wondering if you'll ever be good enough. "Teacher," she whispered, "I want to speak English, but I forget the words." "Always." I smiled gently. "Let me tell you a story," I said, "about fluency and about a garden." She looked at me confused, but I began anyway. When I was young, I wanted to speak English too. I wanted to sound confident, natural, like the people in the movies. But my mouth was clumsy. I forgot words, made mistakes, and felt embarrassed every time someone looked confused when I spoke. One day a teacher told me fluency is not a gift. It's a garden, you plant it, you water it, you grow it. That sentence stayed with me. Fluency isn't something you wake up with one morning. It's something you build one word, one sentence, one small moment at a time. I told May this, and she nodded slowly, but then asked the question so many students ask. But how do I grow the garden? So I shared the seeds. Seed 1, practice is everywhere. You don't need a perfect classroom or a native speaker. You need a reason to speak and the courage to try. Talk to your friend about your lunch. Sing along to your favorite English song. Repeat a line from a story until it feels like your own voice. I told her about Anna, another student, who used to record herself reading every night. At first, her voice shook. She hated listening to her own pronunciation. But she did it anyway, every night, and little by little her confidence bloomed. Seed 2, listening grows language. Fluency, I said, starts with the ears. There was once a girl named Lion who loved English songs. Every morning while brushing her hair, she'd play her favorite playlist. At first, she didn't understand, but slowly she began to sing along. She copied the rhythm, the sounds, the emotions. And one day she realized she wasn't just listening anymore. She was learning. May's eyes lit up a little. "I listen to stories sometimes," she said shyly. "Good," I nodded. "Do it more. Let English be the music of your days." Seed 3, mistakes are sunlight. One student, Thao, refused to speak in class. She was terrified people would laugh. She waited for perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary, perfect pronunciation. But perfection never came. So one day I asked her to speak for just 1 minute. She made mistakes, many, but no one laughed. And after that, she began to speak more. She even laughed at her own mistakes. That was the moment she began to grow. Fluency does not mean perfection. It means expression. Seed 4, think in English. A boy named Nam always translated in his head. Vietnamese to English, English to Vietnamese. It made him slow and unsure. "Try this," I told him. "Look at your cup. Don't say kai lai, say cup. Think in English even alone." He struggled at first, but with time he began to speak faster. Not because his vocabulary grew overnight, but because his mind stopped needing translation. He was starting to live in English. Seed 5, read like you're watering your mind. I still remember my first English book, short, simple, with pictures. I didn't understand every word, but I kept reading. Every time I found a new word, I wrote it down, used it in a sentence, said it aloud. I had a student once who read the same children's book 10 times. "Is that okay?" she asked. "I don't understand everything." I smiled. "It's more than okay. That's how understanding grows." Seed 6, speak to your reflection. "I'm too shy," May admitted. "I feel silly." "Then speak to yourself," I said, "in the mirror." A student named Lan did this every morning. She spoke about her breakfast, her dreams, her plans. At first, she laughed at herself, but later she began to smile. She was no longer afraid of her voice. She became her own conversation partner. Seed 7, fluency needs a friend. There were 2 boys in my class, Min and Koa. They weren't the best students, but they were the most consistent. They made a deal, only speak English to each other at lunch. At first, it was slow and awkward. They used gestures, drew pictures, even made up words. But they kept going. And within a few months, their conversations flowed like streams, natural, joyful. Seed 8, real life is the best classroom. A student of mine worked at a coffee shop. He started greeting customers in English. It was scary. Some didn't understand. Some ignored him, but he kept going. One day, a tourist smiled and said, "Your English is good." That one sentence became his sunshine. After that, he spoke more, not perfectly, but proudly. Seed 9, curiosity grows vocabulary. "Teacher," May said, "what if I don't know a word?" "Don't stop, describe it." I had a student who was obsessed with new words. Every time he heard one, he asked, "What does it mean?" Then he'd try to use it that day in writing, in speech, in thought. Curiosity made his garden bloom faster. Seed 10, set small goals. "I want to be fluent," May said. "That's a beautiful dream," I replied. "But today, let's just learn 5 new words." Big goals are mountains, small goals are steps, and every step counts. I once had a student who promised herself 1 new sentence a day. Just one, but by the end of the year, she could hold a conversation. I told May all of these stories. I saw her shoulders relax, her breath slowed, and in that moment I knew she was beginning. Not because she had mastered grammar, but because she finally understood something no one had ever told her before. Fluency is not a gift. It's a garden, you plant it, you care for it, And if you don't give up, it grows. Weeks passed. One day I saw May at the corner of the schoolyard. She was reading aloud softly, with mistakes, but with courage. I walked over. "Practicing?" I asked. She smiled. "Yes, I speak to the trees now," she joked. We laughed. But deep down I knew this garden of hers, it had already begun to bloom. And now, dear listener, let me ask you, what are you doing to grow your own English garden today?